I'll tell you, the only thing more surprising than hearing from Isran after all these years was hearing that he wanted my help. I immediately realized things must be pretty bad. Looks like I was right. I have. There was a time years ago when we were both members of the Vigilance, and both equally dissatisfied with them. Their hearts are in the right place, of course, but Isran and I were never comfortable. We left together, but that partnership didn't last very long. I didn't agree with some of his methods. Until next time.
You haven't seen a sack full of dwarven gyros lying around, have you? I'd swear I left it right here. Do you think mud crabs might have taken it? I saw one the other day. Wouldn't be surprised if it followed me here. Well, just look around, will you? Isran? Wants me? No, you must be mistaken. He made it exceedingly clear the last time we spoke that he had no interest in my help. I find it hard to believe he's changed his mind. He said some very hurtful things to me before I left. Anyway, I'm quite happy in my current pursuits. So if you'll excuse me... Yes, that was my point. I felt it was rather clear. Look, what is it you want from me? Vampires. Really? Oh, and I suppose now he remembers that I proposed no less than 3 different scenarios that involved vampires overrunning the population. Well, what are they up to? Well, that's actually something I never would have anticipated. Interesting. I'm not sure what they would do with one, but in this case, Isran is probably correct in thinking it isn't good. All right. If nothing else, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to learn more about what's going on so I can better defend myself. But I'm not just going to abandon what I've been working on here. It's too useful. I need at least 1 intact dwarven gyro. So either I need to find the satchel those mud crabs stole, or I need another gyro from someplace. You wouldn't happen to have one, would you? Well, then I'm very sorry, but I can't just walk away from this project yet. Just 1 gyro. 1, and I can get back to work. Where are they? I understand that, but I really can't leave here without at least 1 usable piece of dwarven equipment. A single gyro would be enough, I think. Believe me, this is useful stuff. Thank you. It's not much, but this will help a great deal with some things I've been researching. Now, where is it Isran expects me to go? Ah, been working more on his secret hideout, has he? It'll be interesting to see how much progress he's made. I'll finish up here and head in that direction as soon as I can. See you there.
Talk to B first. She's the mouth of this operation. If she says you're okay, then we'll talk.
An interesting proposition, gallant Urzel. But without the amulet, how would you comprehend me verse? Tidings, honoured guest. My name is Beatrice. The raffish companion you see beside me goes by the name of Urzel. The timing of your visit is rather impeccable. Urzel has just secured a fresh skeever which we hope to prepare at the top of the hour. We welcome you to join us in the consumption of this delectable feast. You jest, honoured visitor. Its visage is clearly within your range of eyesight. Although, indubitably, you were directed to this camp not by its countenance but by its aroma, which is quite exquisite. However, it will do us no good without the proper refreshments to balance it. As host to our most honoured guest, I humbly apologise for my oratory failings. I am but an erstwhile savage, who only recently gained the powers of articulation. Why, there could be no other place. It has been chosen by serendipity herself. For I have ventured far across the river, where the rogues known as the Forsworn reside. I was once a rogue. A disagreement over refreshments led to my departure. Verily, I was not alone in my thirst, for as I ventured north, another came south. Me associate Urzel was slaving in the mines of Morker's Go when a similar thirst afflicted him and sent him to this location. It is for that reason that I have dubbed this settlement Les Casgo. Why, yes. As half the population is still up by rule, it still classifies as a stronghold. More or less. Why, the rule of estimation. If that is cause for confusion, allow this host to offer a guest an example. Take me associate who stands roughly 2¼ sword lengths in height. For the sake of brevity, he might tell a stranger he is only 2 sword lengths tall, which does indeed convey his general stature. In this instance, one always rounds to the nearest old number. Now suppose you are exactly 2½ sword lengths in height. Why, his distance from the numbers 2 and 3 would be equal. In this instance, the rules state we choose the next highest round number when making an estimate. The same rule applies to the composition of this settlement. Given that there are half as many orcs and half as many Bretons, one might estimate that this settlement consists of all orcs and all Bretons. That may be true of someone with your education and intellectual vigour, but we common folk must rely on estimates. For one with humble origins such as I, one needs round numbers to count on her round fingers. We are troubadours, celebrators of life. We drink and feast from twilight to cock's crow, in tribute to tradition and song. Many peddlers, hunters and even forsworn will pay a good coin for a warm fire, good drink and a verse from the Poetic Edda. The Poetic Edda is part of the living history of Skyrim, first passed on orally and then through the written word. From the campfires of memorable days to the taverns of forgotten nights, the poetry is passed on and added to by each generation. And while as our guest, the honour of the first verse is yours, I can fulfil this role in your stead. The choice falls onto you, humble traveller. If the gods bless and the mood strikes, then by all means feel free to recite. Oh, that was rather brilliant. Although traditionally in the Reach we prefer a slightly less grandiloquent reading of the Poetic Edda. Forgive me rudeness, but if you will allow me to recite a similar verse, I would be most pleased. As our guest, you may judge its worthiness. O Crantius, misparse, licentious betrayer, your legend is lies, lurid and false, your conquests of the maid a con for the ages. No polishing of spears or lifting of tails, nor kneading of loaves did this courtship endure. The maid was not one of mortal form, for on sunlit days she grazed on the pasture. Crantius satisfied himself without dignity or remorse. From across the farm the animals bayed in protest. But the mistress stood strong, House Koltor's truest protector. Her vengeance was instant, inconsolable death. And so ends the story of Crantius the Liar, a deviant and a scoundrel who we commit to the fire. As our most timely and honoured guest, it is not my place to disagree, nor will I deny any other flattery you wish to send my way. Why, dear guest, it was not more than 20 paces from where you stand. If this answer perplexes you, allow me to recount the events that transpired. I had recently absconded from Drudat Redart with 2 bottles of refreshment on my person when I arrived at the bank of the river. Viewing the campfire in proximity of the dwarven ruin, I attempted to cross the feral current, warily dipping my toes into its mouth. The water was as cold as it was irritable, so I decided to abandon this pursuit, given that I am not well versed in the swimming craft. Yet, no sooner did I turn around than a great big dragon swept overhead, the force of which catapulted me into the water. I fought the current, kicking and gulping, and in my tantrum I managed to wedge my leg between 2 rocks. It was rather embarrassing, but I took some consolation in the fact that I was not the first to drown in such an inglorious manner. No, for laying in the rock beside me was a skeletal fellow, more bones than skin and more clothes than bone. He seemed to have died from a fracture to the skull, and his lifeless body was nestled comfortably beside me. Meanwhile, Urzub, having witnessed my folly, rushed to the river to rescue me, but I could only stare at the corpse in the river. Then I noticed his right hand seemed to glimmer like a bauble, which makes sense as he was clutching one. I reached for the bauble just as Urzub reached for me.
Hey there, Dragonborn.
He forced me out of the river
Ready
like
for
a bear
battle, I
swatting
see.
a salmon. When I first spoke to Urzub, I didn't recognise the words, but there were none that I'd ever acquainted myself with before. The bauble, you see, was not a bauble, but an amulet of articulation! Zub is a fine host, and it is by virtue of his hunting skill that we are blessed with his current feast. Unfortunately, he is far less loquacious than I, especially in the presence of new guests. However, our guests might find that after a bottle of refreshment and some time by the campfire, the words flow faster than the cart itself. For our honoured guest, we have the cleanest refreshments this world has to offer, although I cannot speak for the next. Now, when I say clean, I hope I am not misrepresenting the potency of our drink, as I am referring to a very specific type of clean. Well, the word clean can be defined in a variety of ways. There's clean like the Carth River, and clean like the smell of a brisk summer breeze. There is clean like the white of a freshly washed tunic, or clean like the inside of a recently scrubbed cauldron. Whether it is a clean towel, a clean river, or a clean shave, the difference is in the surface. Well, one might say clean refreshment and clean taste come when a drink washes smoothly over the surface of your tongue. The refreshments we have gathered, on the other hand, seek to clean the surface of the mind. It can be imbibed or inhaled, smoked or suckled, but the result is the same: crystal clarity. Our most welcome guest has an acute sense of smell, although me associate and I prefer the term refreshment, as it more accurately defines our drink. Why, by cleansing our guest of the banal, imagine every boring thought stranded in your mind, washed away by a tide of concentrated joy. While others hope for the improbable and dream the impossible, when your mind is cleansed of preconception, the impossible will dream of you. That's right. I ask you, traveller, when was the last time you dared to think of that which cannot be? In the time between this sentence and the last, I have witnessed two such fantastical events. Behind you, I saw a bear dressed in Thalma robes, trained to sniff out Talus worshippers. In the curve of its eyes, I saw the future, where the septum had been replaced by pieces of coke as Tamriel's most commonly traded currency. Perhaps our guest would like to give it a try. Simply clear your mind and envision one impossible thing. An admirable try, but this host recommends you imbibe some refreshments before proceeding any further. Farewell.
All right, Isra. You've got us all here. Now what do you want?
Hold it right there.
What are you doing?
Making sure you're not vampires. Can't be too careful. So, welcome to Fort Dawnguard. I'm sure you've heard a bit of what we're up against. Powerful vampires, unlike anything we've seen before. And they have an Elder Scroll. If anyone is going to stand in their way, it's going to be us.
This is all well and good, but do we actually know anything about what they're doing? What do we do now?
We'll get to that. For now, get acquainted with the space. Soreen, you'll find room to start your tinkering on that crossbow design you've been working on. Gunmar, there's an area large enough for you to pen up some trolls. Get them armored up and ready for use. In the meantime, we're going to get to the bottom of why a vampire showed up here looking for you. Let's go have a little chat with it, shall we? So let's hear it.
You probably weren't expecting to see me again. I'd rather not be here either, but I needed to talk to you. It's important, so please just listen, before your friend here loses his patience. Well, it's about me, and the Elder Scroll that was buried with me. The reason I was down there, and why I had the Elder Scroll. It all comes back to my father. I'm guessing you figured this part out already, but my father's not exactly a good person, even by vampire standards. He wasn't always like that, though. There was a turn. He stumbled onto this obscure prophecy and just kind of lost himself in it. It's pointless and vague, like all prophecies. The part he latched onto said that vampires would no longer need to fear the sun. That's what he's after. He wants to control the sun. Have vampires control the world. Anyway, my mother and I didn't feel like inviting a war with all of Tamriel, so we tried to stop him. That's why I was sealed away with the scroll. I'm sorry. I had heard there were vampire hunters here. I thought they might want to know about a vampire plot to enslave the rest of the world. Was I wrong? Well, let's move then. I'm nothing if not persuasive.
All right, you've heard what it has to say. Now tell me, is there any reason I shouldn't kill this blood-sucking fiend right now? Set my hatred aside? Not a chance. It's what keeps me strong. You better know what you're doing. It can stay for now, but if it so much as lays a finger on anyone here, I'll hold you responsible. Got it? You hear me? Don't feel like a guest, because you're not. You're a resource. You're an asset. In the meantime, don't make me regret my sudden outburst of tolerance and generosity. Because if you do, your friend here is going to pay for it.
Thank you for your kindness. I'll remember it the next time I'm feeling hungry. So, in case you didn't notice the giant thing on my back, I have the Elder Scroll with me. Whatever it says, it will have something that can help us stop my father. But of course, neither of us can read it. Well, the Moth Priests are the only ones I've heard of who can do it. They spend years preparing before they start reading, though. Not that it helps us anyway, because they're all half a continent away, in Cyrodiil.
Some Imperial scholar arrived in Skyrim a few days ago. I was staking out the road when I saw him pass by. Maybe that's your Moth Priest.
Do you know where he's staying now?
No, and I'm not going to waste men looking. We're fighting a war against your kind, and I intend to win it. You want to find him? Try talking to anyone who'd meet a traveler. Innkeepers and carriage drivers in the big cities, maybe. But you're on your own.
Any idea how you're going to find a Moth Priest? Skyrim's a pretty big place. Well, back before you know, the College of Winterhold was the first place I'd think to go for any kind of magic or historical thing. The wizards know about all kinds of things that people probably shouldn't know about. Actually, now that I think of it, I'm going to come along with you. I've been really wanting to get out and explore a bit. Here we are. I think I was a little short with you. I'm sorry. You're my savior. You freed me. I'm grateful to you. I'm not entirely sure what this is going to do for you, but you deserve that much. I guess so. Really? Oh, good. Well then. Perhaps I'll be grateful to you again soon. That's a long story. I guess we kind of have to go way back, to the very beginning. Do you know where vampirism came from? Exactly. The first vampire came from Molag Bal. She was not a willing subject, but she was still the first. Molag Bal is a powerful Daedric lord, and his will is made reality. For those willing to subjugate themselves, he will still bestow the gift, but they must be powerful in their own right before earning his trust. The ceremony was degrading. Let's not revisit that. But we all took part in it. Not really wholesome family activity, but I guess it's something you do when you give yourselves to a Daedric lord. Well, you've met most of us. My father's not exactly the most stable, and eventually he drove my mother crazy with him. And it all ended with me being locked underground for who knows how long. It's definitely been a bad thing, on the whole. I will be. Just give me a little time. Yes? I mean, as much as anyone. Not a lot. You'd figure a couple 100 years locked away with one would have given me some insight, but no. Turns out you don't learn much from just sleeping with something. Not at this rate, no. I'm ready if you are.
May I help you, Archmage?
Do you need something? Yes, but when I was here it wasn't so crumbly. This used to be a city. I wonder what happened here. I mean, as much as anyone. Not a lot. You'd figure a couple 100 years locked away with one would have given me some insight, but no. Turns out you don't learn much from just sleeping with something. Not at this rate, no. I'm right behind you.
Greetings, Archmage. A Moth Priest? What in Oblivion do you need a Moth Priest for? Fine. No need to get your britches in a twist. The obvious answer is to go to the Imperial City. The Moth Priest make their home in the White Gold Tower. Sometimes they go out looking for Elder Scrolls. Lucky for you, there's a Moth Priest in Skyrim right now, doing just that. He stopped in to do some research in the library, then left for Dragonbridge. If you hurry, you might catch him there.
Okay, I know it's a city, but in this environment and weather, I feel it's rarer to spot a human than an ice wraith.
Got nothing to spare for travelers nor refugees here. A Moth Priest? I'm sorry, but I don't know anything about that. Try asking one of the guards. Until next time.
You, tell me, do you think I'm attractive? Thank you, I suspected as much. Which makes it all the more confusing why Nelos ignores me for that horse of a high elf. It must be out of pity, or hunger. I've always said her nose reminds me of a giant turnip. Alduin is my arch enemy, my nemesis in love. Nelos is always talking to her, confiding in her, when he should be doing those things with me. It makes no sense why he prefers her company. Unlike that Somerset I saw, I'm a fellow Dunmer. Not to mention I'm cuter, funnier, and by far the more talented mage. And the worst part is they just met. How can he value the counsel of that drunk over his companion of 5 years? You don't know that? You haven't seen the way he looks at me, the way all males look at me. It's the kind of look that makes you nervous and excited, in control and yet completely powerless. I'd recognize it anywhere, especially on him. Arguably the greatest mage in all of Tamriel. But when it comes to who is most dashing, I will tolerate no argument. He is a Dunmer of average height, but immeasurable stature, his eyes burning with the fire of the Red Mountain itself. For all those who serve the guild, he is our leader, our mentor, our muse. He is the hand and we are the fingers, waiting for the long night when we clutch all of Nirn in our palm. We are a small group of mages, whose ideals do not always align with the 100 or so guilds that now roam Tamriel in place of the one. The Synod is too political. The College of Whispers is too short-sighted. The Sishiks are too close-minded. And let's face it, Winterhold is a wreck. The Radiant Dark is open to all who possess skill with magic, whether the light you cast shines brightly or darkly. Those who have power seek it, not for politics or justice, knowledge or peace, but for power itself. Like my guildmate Gerard, you make a compelling argument, but so do Nelos's eyes. They're positively enchanting. And according to him, power is something that must be exercised, for there is nothing sadder than a great warrior born in a time of peace. When the long night comes, powerful mages and mighty warriors alike will rise and find their true calling. The one written on the face of all who fear us, for Nelos himself wrote it. I've often thought of how it will come, dreamt of it. Imagine a cool winter night, when the only sound you hear is the wind threading through the trees. The sort of nights made for long shadows and dark phantoms, or quick daggers and hot blood. A night born for unholy rituals, hushed whispers, and shivers down the spine of children and men. A night when the end of all things is possible. A wonderful night to have a curse. The actions do indeed result in death and destruction, but there is no malice. It is a test of mortal power. Those who are righteous may seek to dominate the wicked, and those who are wicked may seek to dominate the righteous. The only thing the Radiant Dark does not brook is turning on each other, a tenet I find most difficult when in the presence of Elduin. The ugly harlot aside, the long night will be ominous to all who crave peace, but pure felicity to all who yearn for battle. I am, and I'll have you know it wasn't all talent. I worked very hard to become the mage I am, a mage not everyone thought I could be. I still remember when I was but a novice at the college. Whenever I cast a destruction spell, everyone would comment on what a good enchanter I was. I didn't realize it at the time, but I think they were insulting me. Although, to be fair, I am a good enchanter. The best. Yes, but I found where I truly excel is with spells of frost and cold. I was in the Arcaneum studying a tome on that very subject when I first met Nelos. He looked so menacing with that lick of hair and blades of war paint slashed across his face, yet his voice was gentle. He asked me if I understood the tome I read. I could only nod what remained of my head as my body melted into the floor. His questions turned out to be a sort of audition, one that I naturally passed with flying colours, despite Nelos having sailed under false ones. Nelos recognised my talent for destruction and chose to cultivate it, whereas Mirabelle wanted me to train under the Master Enchanter. Of course, he wouldn't accept me into his guild without first passing 3 additional tests. The first was to still his heart, the second was to make him smile, and the third was to take his breath away. Okay, so maybe those tests were self-imposed, but I still plan on passing them. There's no way to be certain why the Divines blessed me with such a specific gift, but I do know how. You see, fire scorches and lightning shocks, but ice is a paradox, for it can both destroy and preserve. In fact, my grandmother once believed frost magic was the key to eternal youth. Well, the old bat thought if she slowed the heart and the body, she could slow the aging process itself. Every day she cast frost spells on herself, trying to delay the appointment the wrinkles had with her neck. Yet it only left her skin cracked and dry and whiter than a Nord's. She was a living ghost. Soon her health began to fail and she no longer could muster up the magicka for her daily treatment. That's when she bought me a tome on frostbite. She was completely mad, of course. Should a child always listen to her elders? Was it wrong for me to end her miserable existence? Those spells restore the body to their natural state. Aging is natural, death is natural, so restoration would only undo what the frost had done. In this instance, it might have saved her life, but it would not have made her young. Now frost spells, they will undoubtedly kill you as they killed her. On the other hand, her corpse is very well preserved.
It's not.
It was a book recommended to me by the librarian's apprentice on the nature of destruction magic. While some schools attempt to mimic reality and others try to alter it, it was unclear whether destruction was doing one or the other. When you harness the elements, do you draw them from nature or manifest them? When heat is drawn to make fire, does the air lose warmth? Much of this was explained to me by Nelos. Not that I needed him to. I understood it just fine. I just wanted to hear his voice. In any case, he told me how the answer lies in the beasts of the wild and the world around us. When plants fail to grow in mage light, it's proof alteration is not natural. When the invisible can be touched, it proves that illusion is not real. Then look at the way catfish come to the surface when the earth is about to quake, or how rodents scurry indoors days before winter. Nature knows what's real, and it will react to a coming storm in the same fashion, whether it made by mortals or gods. When the guilds I belonged to last met, Nelos instructed us to refrain from contact for the time being. I suspected this might be some clever attempt for him and Alduin to escape on some tryst, which neither I nor the laws of decency could abide by. So I followed Nelos to Harthinger, but only got as far as Dragonbridge before I lost track of him. I wait here now in hopes that he might return, and in fear that she will be with him when he does. About time.
These vampires are becoming a real menace. Ah, so that was a moth priest then. He rode through town not long ago with an escort of soldiers. They didn't stop, just headed south across the Dragon Bridge. All right then.
What now? Do you have a moment to talk? I feel hungry. Well, taking some blood from you. That makes sense. Your dragon blood. It's not like anything else in the world. I don't think so. Let's not revisit that. Don't. You don't know what it's like. Please, just stop it. Fine then, but I'm going to stick it to you. I promise to try and make this as painful as possible. Suit yourself. Hold still. By the blood. It's so good. I told you! Sorry. Ugh. Just go. I'm ready when you are.
Engage. Let the killing commence.
Your life ends here.
True! Die!
What's that?
Record 566. And it starts hey! Hey, wait for me! How does a blade to your heart for you? Or maybe your neck? I'm feeling generous. Damn! day. Still, seriously, this whole fiasco will be so much easier if
Your powers are nothing. That'll teach you.
In the name of Queen Recorder, off with your head. Alright, that was a good warm-up.
That wasn't me. You were fighting. I could see through my eyes, but I could not control my actions. Thank you for breaking that foul vampire's hold over me. You arrived just in time. I think those vampires were getting hungry. I'm quite all right, thanks to you. Dexian Evicus is my name. I'm a moth priest of the White Gold Tower. These vampires claimed they had some purpose in store for me, but they wouldn't say what. Probably hoping to ransom me, the fools. You do? All right then, enough mysteries. You have an Elder Scroll. Remarkable. If my knowledge of history serves me, I recall that the Dawn Guard was an ancient order of vampire hunters. I will be happy to assist you with your Elder Scroll. Just tell me where I need to go. Very well. I'll hurry on my way there before more of those vampires turn up.
I'm impressed you could find a moth priest so quickly. For the reading? Yeah. Just let the old man know when you're ready.
My trip to Skyrim has become quite the adventure. Ah, my rescuer! It's good to see you again. It's not exactly the hospitality I'm used to, but your man Isran has seen to my needs well enough. And might I add, this is a remarkable fortress. I have colleagues back home that would love to study this place in detail. Oh, most certainly. Let's find out what secrets the scroll can tell. Now, if everyone will please be quiet, I must concentrate. I see a vision before me, an image of a great bow. I know this weapon. It is Oriel's bow. Now a voice whispers, saying, "Among the night's children, a dread lord will rise. In an age of strife, when dragons return to the realm of men, darkness will mingle with light, and the night and the day will be as one." The voice fades and the words begin to shimmer and distort. But wait, there is more here. The secret of the bow's power is written elsewhere. I think there is more to the prophecy, recorded in other scrolls. Yes, I see them now. One contains the ancient secrets of the dragons, and the other speaks of the potency of ancient blood. My vision darkens, and I see no more. To know the complete prophecy, we must have the other two scrolls. I must rest now. The reading has made me weary.
Come on, old man. You should get some rest.
Do you have a moment to talk? That moth priest, Dexian. He said we needed 2 other Elder Scrolls. I think I know where we can start looking. Half the people in your little crew would just as soon kill me as talk to me. That doesn't exactly make me want to open up. I got a warmer welcome from my father, and that's saying something. Ever since he decided to make that prophecy his calling, we kind of drifted apart. I don't even think he sees me as his daughter anymore. I'm just a means to an end. We need to find my mother, Valerica. She'll definitely know where it is. And if we're lucky, she actually has it herself. The last time I saw her, she said that she'd go somewhere safe. Somewhere that my father would never search. Other than that, she wouldn't tell me anything. But the way she said it, someplace he would never search. It was cryptic, yet she called attention to it. Maybe. What I can't figure out is why she said it that way. Besides, I can't imagine a single place my father would avoid looking. And he's had all this time, too. Any ideas? Wait, that almost makes sense. There's a courtyard in the castle. I used to help her tend a garden there. All of the ingredients for our potions came from there. She used to say that my father couldn't stand the place. Too peaceful. Oh, absolutely. But my mother's not a coward. That is, I don't think we'll actually trip over her there, but it's worth a look. True, but I know a way we can get to the courtyard without arousing suspicion. There's an unused inlet on the northern side of the island that was used by the previous owners to bring supplies into the castle. An old escape tunnel from the castle exits there. I think that's our way in. It's around the side of the castle. Let's move.